Welcome to Business is Boundless in Kern County. I'm Richard Chapman, President and CEO of the Kern Economic Development Corporation, and with me today is Greg Morris, President of Scaled Composites. Greg, well, thank you for coming on the show. We're really excited to tell the story of Scaled Composite and as well as your story. So first off, explain the history of Scaled Composites.
Well, first, Richard, thank you very much for having me here today. I appreciate the opportunity to talk about Scaled. Scaled was founded in 1982 by Burt Rutan. And Burt had been a flight test engineer at Edwards and then saw a need from the Rutan aircraft factory before. He'd been in producing aircraft plans and pivoted the business largely to defense services and providing the ability to rapidly build demonstrators for industry. And he had was familiar with Mojave from his time at Edwards and founded the business there. And it's grown since then. Scaled has been through a number of different owners, but in 2007 was acquired by Northrop Grumman. So we're a wholly owned subsidiary of Northrop Grumman now.
Well, obviously that's an impressive partner, and equally as impressive, basically you build one aircraft a year?
We do. So we've been 42 years of history, and we built more than 42 new aircraft types.
Wow.
The core is really building demonstrators.
Okay.
When we talk about a demonstrator, we'll take a concept and get it to flight as rapidly as possible to prove it can accomplish the mission the customer wants. And fundamentally, we'll try to target about 2 years from contract signing to first flight.
And you know, that's the amazing thing about Mojave Air and Spaceport at Rutan Field. It's an incubator, 100 companies, 3,000 folks. It's a real amazing R&D lab. So what about your journey to Scaled?
Yeah, so my journey to Scaled, I have known about Scaled. I first learned about Scaled and really through Burt Rutan when I was 7 years old and went to the Oshkosh Air Show in the late 80s. And I remember seeing the Long Easies, and it was just, they looked like they were something from the future, and I got fascinated by Scaled at that point. So I grew up in Chicago, continuing to go to Oshkosh, got to see more of the aircraft, saw Proteus in various years as it came out, the aircraft we have on the model here today. And it's been, and I knew Scaled was special. So I graduated from engineering school, and I sent one resume to a company for an engineering job, and it was to Scaled.
Wow, one.
Did not get an interview. Was not hired. So I think they probably got the resume, immediately circular filed it, and it was probably the right choice at that point. So it does mean today I can joke that I'm actually the worst engineer in the company, because I'm the only one who didn't get hired.
Well, and obviously you also have an MBA, a master's, just an amazing educational, and you started your own company, right? Gauntlet.
I did, yeah. So I got my bachelor's in aerospace engineering. Don't have the MBA yet, still working on that one. I've got to give the University of Michigan a couple more dollars to finish that and do some coursework, but it's been an excellent program so far. And then I did get a master's from the National Test Pilot School, also at Mojave as well, with that.
Wow, your resume must be a couple pages, so kudos to you.
Thank you.
And speaking of resumes, portfolios, explain Scale's critical role in the aerospace defense industry.
Yeah, so the ability to build demonstrators rapidly is really critical, especially now. We look at the kinds of emerging threats we have and the pace at which we need to be developing. So our ability to rapidly iterate and to take a concept and get a demonstrator flying quickly can help accelerate that entire timeline. And that's the value we provide to Northrop Grumman, right? We're part of the Research and Advanced Design Division. And so we'll work independently, we'll work with Northrop to help build these concepts and decide what capabilities do warfighters need in the future? How do we develop those? How do we get those fielded as fast as possible?
Well, and we started the East Kern Economic Alliance, and it is, our tagline is Innovation Rising, so that should be very applicable to your company. So finally, what are some exciting projects at Scaled you're working on at Scaled?
For ones I can talk about, which is a limited subset. One we're very proud of was the Model 437. We had the first flight last year, and that's a great aircraft that's going to begin work as a payload demonstrator soon. We've got a few other programs. Again, I wish I could talk about more of them.
Jet Zero.
But Jet Zero is in process. Yep, that's a good one. So that's a great company working to do a blended wing body airliner. That's a concept that I remember back from engineering school, having huge promise. Actually, Jet Zero's chief technology officer was my aircraft design professor in engineering school.
And Stratolaunch we've had on the show. You're obviously a critical partner with them at the world's largest airplane. So
we were very happy to have built their aircraft. They're doing amazing work now with it, and it's great to be able to watch Rock continue to fly from my office window. So we're excited to continue to see their progress as they advance talent.
Well, thanks for coming on the show, and I will keep my Google search active for Scaled Composites because you're a critical part of not just the country but the world's aerospace infrastructure. So thank you again, and remember, business is truly boundless in Kern County.